Hello everybody and welcome to my Scythe guide of 2022. Now, if you are not curious or care in any way about why I'm making a Scythe guide, despite me being a channel that's not very known for making guides at all, you can skip to this timestamp or skip to the part that you want to learn about through the chapters in the video. But if you do care, stick around. Yeah, so basically, the reason I'm making a Scythe guide is because I've been thinking about Scythe a lot. I've recently improved, at least the most that I can notice. I'm actually getting decent clips. I've noticed that my Scythe has now become my best weapon, and I want to help other people for it to become their best weapon. Because it is a fun weapon, and playing it the most makes Brawlhalla the most fun. And if people, which a lot of people do, which is why Scythe has a high player rate, find it very fun, and it enhances their Brawlhalla experience. Since it's the weapon they play the most, Brawlhalla therefore is mostly more fun. That's the reason why I play Scythe and why I like the weapon so much. But for you guys who are wondering why I'm actually making a video going into detail about it, basically it's because I wanted to share my own opinion, but not only that, I also wanted to do a video different to any other Scythe guide, at least that I've seen. Basically, my goal for this video is to give a quick rundown on things that I don't want to spend too much time in, and then provide links for them for good videos that I personally recommend in my description. But for things that I do go into detail about and that I can go into detail about and I'm knowledgeable of it, then I will not provide links for that, and I will share my own info on that myself, and I will not provide links for it. So, and that's different to any other video, because you can see here, for example, this video, Scythe combo strings and dodge reads. That's just Scythe combos reads and dodge reads. Scythe combo strings and dodge reads. I don't go into too much detail about Scythe strings and combos. I just show what I think is the best combo, for example, and I show two examples of punishing and a 0 to death, and I tell you that you can make your own strings, your own 0 to deaths, and then I provide links like this. I might do this one even, if you want to go more into detail about it. But I'm not going to spend 13 minutes and 50 minutes and 21 minutes and 24 minutes, and I'm not going to do any maths, but that could be like an hour, right? That could be like an hour and 20 minutes, whatever, right? I'm not going to do that, obviously. I want to make a 15-20 minute video of me just going over everything short. Well, that's going to be the intro. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you are new, watch the whole video. If you want to, of course, I appreciate it. If you are experienced, you can skip to the parts that you don't know that much about, like neutral or certain strings and 0 to deaths. And that kind of thing. I will provide them in the chapters, so you can click on which one you want to look at, but depending on your skill level. But yeah, thank you for giving a small channel a chance and clicking on this video, and hopefully you learned something. On with the guide. Alright, so Scythe has a lot of active input. There's Nair, where you can send them up, forwards, and backwards. There's Dare, where you can send them basically the same thing but downwards, which is going to be your friend, by the way. I'm going to go more into detail about Dare later on. There's Sare, which doesn't have active input, but it's a good kill confirm and can also string well from Sidelight into Sare. And speaking of sidelight, I'm not sure if it counts as active input, but there's soft sidelight and hard sidelight, and it sends them in different directions, so it's probably active input. It's basically, if you want to do a hard sidelight, you hold forward while doing the sidelight, and if you don't, you release it, and it kicks them upwards, which can string into certain things, which I will also go into detail later on. There's D-light, which is there are two variations of, and GC D-lighting is also a great kill confirm, or D-lighting on stage is also a great kill confirm if they're near the edge of the stage, or just deep red. D-lighting using the active input kind of spins them backwards, and you can go for reads off of that. Ground pound has a kind of an odd hitbox, but it is useful and can catch your opponent off guard. It's almost as quick as, for example, sword ground pound, so you know it is useful for sure. Recovery, sometimes it can hit you at a weird angle, so you can use that to your advantage. But basically, if you catch a dodge and they're like bright red near the corner of the map, you can end-light them and you can jump recovery them and it'll kill them. It's a great kill confirm, and I definitely recommend doing that. Recovery can also be great for going for clips, 0 to deaths, that kind of thing. I mean, all moves are useful for that, but that one's going to be a big one, especially when it comes to getting back to stage as well. Alright, I'm back. It is nighttime. I've turned on the lights. You can see in the bottom right, it's 6 p.m. So basically, I made a whole recording of me talking about Scythe combos, and I realized that there are already probably better videos that I could ever make, and if I don't record it, I don't actually have to make them. So I'm not going to. And so I will be linking those videos in the description if you want to learn these very specific and situational combos. But like I said, if you are a newer player, which this is the newer section currently right now, I don't recommend it. I recommend you learn the basics, the moveset, which I've already talked about. But there is one combo that I actually want to cover, and that's weapon throws. Weapon throws are so useful with Scythe. Although I personally don't do it that much, they are so good. If you throw a Scythe at an angle, once you have a momentum, you can instantly go into an either dash or just a delight and instantly nair, sair, dare them, and you can get the true. Actually, I don't think it works with the nair, but you can get it sair and dare true after delight, I'm pretty sure. And the way to get this is basically what you have to do is you have to either dash jump, which is a more complicated input, but you have the momentum already, so all you need to do is weapon throw, delight, and then, for example, dare. But the less complicated way, but also less consistent way, is to not immediately dash jump. You can come in whatever speed you want, but as long as you hit the scythe, you have to make sure that the second you hit the ground, you have to dash delight. Otherwise, it's not going to be true. So it's either you dash before you jump, throw the weapon, delight there, or you throw the weapon in the air, no matter what speed you want, but you have to dash the second you hit the ground. And the reason I'm telling you to throw it from the air, because you probably know, like, James or Shoko, why aren't you throwing the weapon on the ground? Like, why aren't you just saying that? That's not a thing. Because it's way less consistent and it's not worth it. I mean, if you're spending the most of your time on the ground anyway to begin with, what are you doing? You should be spending more time in the air, actually. That doesn't make you a passive player, it just means you're moving around and it's less likely that you're going to get hit. So yeah, if you throw your weapon downwards, you can get it true, more consistent, and I always, like 99% of the time, get it one frame if I do throw it on the ground, but technically it is true if you know, get it like frame perfect if you want to throw it on the ground. Or if your opponent does not have a dodge, they can't jump out of it, obviously, because dodge, you need 2 dodge frames to actually jump out of a combo, or move, or string, I should say. But anyway, off topic, that's the one combo I wanted to go over, and on with neutral, gimping, all that right now. So now that you've learned the fundamentals of Scythe and how each move works, or if you already know that and you've skipped this far in the video, you can make your own strings, your own combos, and be unique with Scythe. This is no secret, and you can kind of see the difference here. I'm going to show both clips next to each other. Basically, if you hit a... So on the right, you can see that I'm hitting an end light after a dodge and just going for nairs and then sairs and nairs and sairs, and eventually they can get out of it. But on the left, you can see that I'm going for a dodge in read and I'm dragging them across the map and I'm killing them. Now that we've got that out of the way, we can go into detail about things like gimping your opponent. So a gimp is when you make your opponent run out of options and make them kill themselves. Well, you're the one who kills them, but you're the one who nairs them, dares them, sairs them, delights them, whatever. And when they run out of options, they fall and die. Now, gimping with Scythe is hard. It is hard. First, you actually have to get your opponent off stage. Now, if you are in, let's say, a ranked game, they might be less willing to go off stage than you might think, especially if you're playing Scythe, because Scythe has one of the greatest kits, if not the greatest kits off stage, probably mostly contested by hammers, recovery, or ground pound. Or just kit in general. So if you are going against a weapon like that, or even just any weapon at all, and they try to contest you off stage, you need to use things that their weapons don't have, right? But if they're playing sword, you've got nair, you've got dare, these parallel moves that go at certain angles that you can take your opponent by surprise. Even if you GC delight next to them and use the active input version, sorry, not the active input version, but you spin them behind you, that's already, you can already use that to punish a ground pound from beside them. You know, there's all these extremely unique things you can do to gimp your opponent, but I'm not going to give you detailed, specific strings, because I can't do that. I don't know what your opponent is going to do. I don't know how your opponent is going to play. It depends on the rank you're in, and it also depends on your opponent as a player. They could be so odd, and yet they can be so basic, but that's for you to decide. You need to pay attention to your opponent's tendencies in order to get a gimp, and you have to do that in Brawlhalla no matter what weapon you play, in no matter what scenario. You have to figure out how your opponent plays, how they dodge, how they move, how they react, and what they do all game. There's probably videos, and if I find any, I'll put them in the description, like I said before, on how to gimp people, certain things you can do against certain opponents. There's probably a whole 30-minute video just on gimping. Like I said, I can't cover all of that in this one video about everything, so that'll be in the description. This is just the easier way to do it for me and everybody watching, so to have this simple short video. But yeah, that's gimping. Yeah, on to neutral game. Alright, hello, I am here to talk about Neutral Game with my dog Chloe. And Neutral Game is basically the entirety of the game that is not spent while either you or your enemy is doing a combo or a string. So it's like waiting for your opponent or jumping around them or trying to bait out an attack. That's what Neutral is, and how to improve in it is what I'm going to go over right now. So she's going to be in front of this. But yeah, I basically want to show this game that I got on this Taros. I made it. I won the game. You can see barely, but I'm going to talk about that as well. But I thought this game would be a really good example for neutral because I messed up a lot in neutral, and I can point out those mistakes. And this is ranked. This is how I got my peak this season. I got 1763. My last peak was 1783, I think, but still, the game for my peak, and you know, and I made a lot of mistakes, but I made a great comeback, so I thought it would be the perfect game and the perfect example for neutral when it comes to Scythe. So I thought I would just show this and talk about it. I got a read right there off the bat. So you can see I'm constantly going for reads. Every time I throw out a move, I'm going for another move. You don't always have to do that if you expect your opponent to... That was bad by me, but I don't think it was worth it. Wait, let me actually check. How damaged was he? Yeah, that wasn't worth it for me because he was more damaged. It was only really worth it for him. So yeah, that was way too risky for me. I probably should have just stayed on the wall or just edge guarded. There we go. Dare was really good for punishing there. I'm not sure if he was in stun there or not, but I think he was. That was a great punish by me. Unfortunately, the weapon throw didn't hit, so I read his wake up and I went for a GC read off of D-Light, which I talked about earlier in the going over the Scythe kit, and I talked about how D-Light's great for going that read, or any read for that matter. One stock each. Now remember, I did have to make a big comeback here, so I did mess up a lot with Scythe, and you're going to see why. You can see all these dares I'm going for. I actually managed to hit one. You can already see the damage difference, man, because Scythe into certain heavy weapons, or any heavy weapon for that matter, is really bad sometimes. Now you see, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's even when I acknowledged on stream, because I was streaming, by the way, when I was recording this. Twitch.tv/Highshoko, by the way, in the description if you guys want to follow me. But you can see the dare I went for, man. It was just so bad. Like, look at this dare as well. And I fell in stun so much that he could react. Like, I fell from here and then he still had enough time because I was still in stun for him to start a side stick and hit me with it. Like, and that's not a fast move, man. That move just has a lot of stun, and I was using it in the most stupid way. So you can't just dare wherever you want unless you're like, I don't know, like low gold or silver. You actually have to pay attention to this stuff. And if you skip this far in the video, you probably are. But then again, you could also be watching the entire thing if you're learning. By the way, thank you so fucking much. I appreciate it. So how the fuck am I gonna win this one? We'll see. I didn't get the recovery punish, unfortunately. But he still GC'd. Doesn't have his dodge. And he goes dodge back and we hit the weapon throw and then the ground pound. So yeah, you can see I didn't get the read there. I think he jumped and I went for a dare and lighted. Yeah, he went for a wake up, but I was ready. You can see I was waiting there because I was getting hit by his wake ups all game. And I missed the sideline, unfortunately, but he jumped right before touching the ground. So he didn't actually touch, so he didn't get his jumps back, and I noticed that. So I went for the read immediately, and when I didn't get that, I went for the second hit. So you can see I went for a dare here, but he jumped, which you can see. If he didn't jump, it would have hit, and I probably would have got the string, but it didn't matter because I immediately turned around and recovered him. And now I figured he wouldn't jump immediately to get back to stage, so I dared him, and I knew he would have got his dodge back, so I weapon through, and then I went for the ground pound finally, and I actually managed to win the game. So yeah, that's a prime example of Scythe and how it can work in neutral. Even just a simple GC punish when they forget to jump after doing it can be absolutely huge, and also so can doing terrible dares and having to come back massively just to make up for it. It can be really difficult, but Scythe is also, as you can clearly see, the two prime examples in this one game of high elo, at least for me, is that, you know, there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons to Scythe, and at the end of the day, despite this being so fair, you still have to devote everything about yourself more or less to Scythe. I mean, you can play Scythe. This is just the final touch-ups that I want to do. Yeah, you can play Scythe like you can spend half your time playing, I don't even know, Hammer, for example, and then you can spend half your time playing Scythe, but you're not going to get nearly as good as Scythe even if you play. Like, it's not even going to take twice as long as it normally would. If you're not primarily focusing on Scythe, you're not going to get good with it, really. And if you want Scythe to be your best weapon, you have to follow everything in this guide while also making it your main. You cannot get like decent with Scythe or make it your best weapon and then play it just as much as any other weapon. You or just one specific weapon. You need to devote yourself to the weapon and then you will reap the rewards, as you can clearly see here. Although it's very, very easy to fuck up and make mistakes with Scythe, which is why it requires so much time and effort, which I still haven't, fully got a grasp on, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be making those mistakes at all. But then you can see that my experience of turning games around, because of the weapon I have and so many options that I have, that I managed to do so. And that can be really, really useful. It just depends if the pros weigh out the cons, and when you're beginning, the cons definitely weigh out the prawns. I actually like prawns. Do you like prawns? Pros. And yeah, so that's basically my opinion, my rundown, and my tips on Scythe. I think I'm gonna make an intro basically just explaining why I'm making this video and about, why I'm doing it despite there being so many other, Scythe guides, so I'm not gonna go over it again. But I do thank you all for watching, whether you skipped this part immediately, or you only watched some parts, or you're a new player and you watched the entire thing, or you're just curious about my opinion. Either way, I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for not immediately clicking off. I do appreciate you giving a small channel a chance, and hopefully you learned something. And yeah, thank you again.